back to my channel. It's me, Shaniqua, and today I want to talk about how in the Black community we avoid our emotions. Because some of us, when we grow up, we're not really allowed to express ourselves. You know, it's seen as disrespectful if you start talking too much as a child. I know for me personally, I was not really allowed to have an opinion, have a say in how anything was going on or anything that was happening in the household. And I think that this is an issue with a lot of people in the Black community. We're taught to just shut up, do as I say, not as I do, and that's really it. You don't have the ability to have an opinion, express how you feel, you know, even just really having a conversation, building communication skills. Like, you really don't have that ability in a lot of households in the Black community. And I think it's a problem because as a child, you know, your brain is developing, you're learning how to communicate, you're learning a lot of these different things about the world, about yourself, about relationships, and how to navigate through everything. And in those moments, it's very critical of, you know, your relationship with your parents, and then also your relationship outside of the home, that really matter when you become an adult. And I see this happening to a lot of us adults now. Like, we get older and a lot of us are running into issues when it comes to communication because, you know, when we were children, we weren't really taught how to communicate properly. And I see how it's playing in and affecting relationships that we have. I know there's a lot of talk around the dynamics between a man and a woman and how to deal with relationships and marriage and how things aren't working out because we're completely different biologically. We have different makeup. We also process information differently. And I think that this has a lot to do with how we were raised, okay? And yeah, so I want to talk about just emotional communication, understanding your emotions and being able to actually communicate them in an effective way, and being able to also manage your emotions in a way because, you know, you're not really taught that. I know for me personally, and this is all from personal experience, that's all I can really go off of, is I had to really teach myself how to control and manage my own emotions. You know, I grew up really, really quiet. I was very quiet because when you're in a household where you really can't have an opinion, you really can't say too much. Like, yes, I did talk, but for the most part, when it came to my feelings, I held those in. I'm one of those people, I'm an introvert, so by nature, I, you know, enjoy my alone time, and I find myself journaling a lot. And even now, I still do. Like, I journal a lot now just because I feel like it's an escape. It's a way to validate my own emotions. If nobody else is going to listen to me, you know, I know that what I'm feeling and what's going on with me on the inside is real, and I can write those out. So that's what I've, you know, resorted to over the years. Since I was young, a little girl, I've been doing this. And so I think it's important that we talk about this because we're in a very critical and dangerous space in society when it comes to our communication skills, our lack of emotional control, the lack of emotional intelligence, being able to understand and process and be able to analyze emotions and understand where they're coming from and why you're being triggered or why you're feeling a certain way, because we don't talk about this stuff. And I think all we see is, a lot of the times we're only seeing the reaction of people. We're only seeing how people respond to their emotions, and not really understanding and processing why they are feeling those emotions and where it's coming from, because a lot of the times the emotions are deeply rooted. They have, a lot of the stuff that we're going through is deeply rooted. A lot of the trauma is deeply rooted from stuff from our childhood. So, for example, and I can only use me for an example because, like I said, it's just my own personal experience. But just growing up, I remember, your parents tell you to do something, and you really aren't allowed to say if you agree with it or not. Even if you disagree with it, even if you think your parents are wrong, you have to do it. And I remember one time, I don't even remember what it was, but my dad told me to do something, or told me something, and I just knew in my heart that what he was saying was absolutely wrong, but there was nothing I could do about it. And as I'm trying to like speak up for myself and kind of, you know, have a conversation, like, okay, well, this is what I think, and I'm being shut down. Nope, nope, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You're wrong. What I say go. I'm the parent. I don't care what you think. I don't care how you feel about it. What I say go. I pay the bills. I make the rules. And I just cried. Like, I just cried my eyes out, because there was no way for me to communicate at all. I couldn't express myself, even to be able to have that dialogue, like, to explain to me, why does things have to be this way? And I wish I would have had that when I was younger, because I feel like if I had that when I was younger, I wouldn't have to be going through trying to figure things out on my own as an adult. Like, I wouldn't have to make so many mistakes to figure out to figure things out now that I'm older. It's a lot of trial and error, because it's like, okay, well, I really, which is going to be trial and error anyway for anybody. We all make mistakes, but I feel like just having that ability to actually communicate and, talk to my parents when I'm going through something, talk to them when I'm feeling something, and them guiding me and like showing me, how to just understand what I'm feeling, understanding my emotions and my thought process, and really understanding me, because, and it's funny because I was explaining this to my dad maybe a week or so ago, and I was explaining to him, like, the way y'all communicate with your children says a lot, because although we're children and we may not know everything that because we don't have that, you're older, you have way more experience than us, so we're not going to know everything. But that's where the parent comes in as a guiding tool. Apologies, y'all. I had to clear out my phone again for some storage. But anyways, back on subject, what I was saying is, when parents are communicating with their children, I feel like, when your children are asking you questions and trying to, talk to you about something, that's when the parents come in and are supposed to guide the children into understanding their emotions, into understanding, what it is that you want them to do. Because if you don't tell them, and you just say, don't ask no questions, like, you can't ask me any questions, just do what I say, then it creates some resentment, because now your children are no longer going to come to you for any advice. They're not going to come to you for any type of counsel or wisdom. They're not going to come to you for anything. They're not going to tell you anything that's going on in their life. They're not going to come to you when they have good news, when they have bad news. They're not going to share anything about them that's going on with them with you, because you've shown them over and over and over constantly that you do not care about what's going on with them or what they think. You don't care about what they're feeling, what they're going through, what they're thinking. You're not showing that you have a genuine interest in what's going on with them just as a human. And you know, we can sense that at a young age, you know. And I say we because I don't have any children. I personally don't have any children, but as I've gotten older and I've started to analyze my childhood and everything I've experienced and everything that I went through, I realized that there was a lot of things that I was missing out when I was a child, when I was younger, that I wish that I had growing up. As I've grown up and started to, you know, build my own, you know, starting to think about how I want to raise my own family and my own children one day, I think about these things. What are the things that I want my children to know about me? You know, how do I want my children to feel about me when they have an issue or just as they're growing up? And so that's, you know, that's really important to me. As a woman, as someone, you know, when I'm wanting to build a family, like I want a husband who feels the same way, who wants to raise children and have children that are, you know, emotionally intelligent, that are able to, you know, express their feelings, express their emotions in a healthy way. This is not to say that I agree with children talking back or children being disrespectful to their parents. This is not to say that I agree with children being disobedient and just disrespectful to their parents. My apologies, y'all. Had to clear out some more stuff on my phone. I guess this is a too long video, but I'm about to wrap it up. Eventually, I'm gonna upgrade my YouTube content making devices because I can't keep going through this. But anyways, yeah. So I think that we just have to do better with communication, with being able to express ourselves, showing our emotions. And that's really what my platform is, you know, my channel is about, is all those years of, you know, just built up emotions and feelings and thoughts that I never got to express. And now I'm expressing them. And also I want to be able to help others, you know, use their voice to talk about their feelings, talk about their emotions, not being afraid of what people may say, not being afraid of how, you know, people may view you, because we're all human at the end of the day. And I think that in the Black community, we're taught to avoid these emotions because it's a level of accountability that some people don't want to deal with. It's a level of awareness that people don't want to have. So I'm gonna go ahead and in the video, I will be going deeper, talking more about this topic and just expanding on it. I have to get a bigger memory, but for now, that's all. Y'all have a blessed day.